Hey, what's good? It's Cadillaktrackz. Today's quick tip is quick tip number 106. Today's quick tip is going over a feature inside of Fruity Loops that we use a lot. It's about tightening up your hi-hat or your drum sounds. For example, inside of Fruity Loops, if I was to load up a hi-hat sound, a lot of times what you see producers doing a lot of times is what they'll do is they'll load up the hi-hat sound and they'll turn the out knob up, and as I turn it up you can see that it actually brings the out, or it starts to trim the sound closer to the end, and it also turns down the transient or the waveform of the sample. And a lot of people turn that up a lot so that they can get the drum to be more tighter. They can remove that low frequency from the drum. They can focus on the transient or the attack, the beginning of the drum sample. So it comes out nice, crisp, and clear, and it doesn't have the long tail or the low end or the extra reverb and all the blah blah. So it's just a tighter, crispier hi-hat, tighter, crispier drum. So you see a lot of people turn the out knob up. But on Maschine, it doesn't have an out knob function like that. So there's actually another way that you can do it on Maschine. On Maschine, if I was to bring the hi-hat sample in like so, one way I can do it is, this is the Maschine sample inside of the editing window. If I go here to fade out, you can see that it actually fades out the sample. It brings down the low a little bit, and it also turns down the waveform sample, but it's not as dramatic as on Fruity Loops with the out knob. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna undo that, and I'm gonna do it another way also. What you can do is you can actually affect the length of the sample. As you can see, the sample ends at about right around here to 7-8 milliseconds, and it just goes on with all this nonsense and flat line. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna trim it here at about 8. I'll just bring the end knob up and I'll push truncate to cut that off. And once it's cut like that and adjusted in length, I can do the fade out function again, and you can see that the fade out's more dramatic. It starts closer to the waveform, and it brought it down more like it was with the out knob on Fruity Loops. So it's more similar to the out knob adjustment on Fruity Loops, depending on where you set the length. And then there's also another way that we can do it. I'm gonna go ahead and undo that right here, and I'm gonna undo this. And another way that we can do it is we can just affect the envelope. So if we just kept it the same length, the original, and I went here to the voice settings, I like to put the poly on 1 so that the sounds don't stack up on top of each other. And if I went to a pitch envelope and I turned it to ADSR, I could affect the attack, decay, sustain, release. For example, if I turn them all down, and I play the sound, you can't hear nothing. But if I bring the decay up, you can start to hear the beginning of the sample. If I brought it all the way up, you could hear the full sample, and if I brought it just a little bit up, it's just focusing on the tip, and that's what you want. You want just the tip, so you can actually adjust this to your liking, adjusting the sustain, decay, and the release, not really the attack time. And once you do so, you can actually tighten up that hi-hat the same way that you would simply turning out the out knob on Fruity Loops. This is Cadillaktrackz. This is quick tip, I believe, number 106. Just adjusting and cutting, tightening up the hi-hats and drums using Maschine instead of Fruity Loops, and vice versa. Make sure you check out my quick tips. I have 106 quick tips on how to use Maschine and Fruity Loops. It's real good and advanced if you're not familiar with how to use them together. But when you put them together, they should complement each other. They should work together, and then you should be able to get the best of both worlds. They shouldn't take away from each other. They shouldn't slow your workflow down. And they shouldn't have you focusing on just one, because anytime you put the 1 plus 1, it should equal 2. So make sure you check out this channel so you can get a good idea on how to integrate them successfully and smoothly. Also, check out my custom MK3 template. It's probably the best feature or advice that I can offer to the producer community. It helps you control Fruity Loops. It helps you play in a key. It's game changing. Everybody who's got it likes it. I use it every day, and it's definitely something that you need to look into. But I'm Cadillaktrackz. This is my channel. 1.